Okay, with that being the top of the hour, I'm gonna go ahead and get us kicked off. As always, I just want to thank everyone for joining in today. It always means a lot to us that people are interested in learning more about Knowify. And I think this is an exciting topic for us to cover. Our Service Pro feature set that we just launched has been really popular, and a lot of people have had interest in it. And so it's nice that we're going to have an opportunity to share a little bit more with you guys about how to use this, how to get the most out of it, and explain a little bit more about the general functionality surrounding Service Pro. So just thanks again for joining in. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Taryn. I manage customer experience at Knowify, essentially just making sure that people are happy with our software. So whether that's communication with our team, whether it's the product itself, we just want to make sure that you're getting the most out of your subscription with us. And as it pertains to today's meeting, just making sure that you're getting the most use out of the features that you already have, making sure you know how to use everything to the best of your ability. And that's why we kind of started doing these deep dive webinars, was to give you a little bit more info on all of this. I'm also joined by my associate Ross. You might be able to see him here. He's going to chime in for one of our slides here. But real quick, I just want to go through our agenda. Ross is going to start us with a slide on just what is Service Pro. What are we talking about when we reference Service Pro through this webinar? And then we'll go into a little bit more about what constitutes a service job, what different pieces there are in service jobs versus contract jobs, different ways we can view our service jobs in our Knowify account, and then some ancillary features of service jobs in Knowify. So maintenance agreements, service assets, using this stuff on mobile. And I'll do my best to cover all of this during our demonstration part of this session. And then we'll see how much time we have left for Q&A. It's a little bit larger of a topic than we usually have, so I'm going to do my best to move slowly through this to make sure that everyone can follow along. I already had one request to slow down before we even started today. I know I can go through this pretty quickly sometimes, but um, I'll do my best to keep a good pace, but also leave room for Q&A at the end because I do expect a good number of questions to come through. But again, we have a little bit more to cover than usual. But in the interest to make sure we get the most use out of our time, I'm going to just hand it off to Ross to give us a little bit more about what is Service Pro.
Awesome. Thanks, Taryn. Hi, everybody. As Taryn mentioned, I'm Ross. I'm the director of customer success team here at Knowify. So since today's topic is a little bit different than normal for these webinars, I wanted to jump in and clarify, and then I'll also be here to help answer any questions that you might have about Service Pro. So to answer this original question, Service Pro is a completely new module in Knowify. Our development team spent, I think, the better part of 2024 building it completely from scratch. So there's a lot of new functions and workflows that we wanted to add, and that made a full rebuild necessary rather than updating our old service jobs module. So because of that, it won't be active in your account yet unless you've discussed it with someone from our team. And it also is going to be a paid add-on. So this will affect you the most if you're using the legacy service jobs module in Knowify, because that will also be getting sunset sometime later this year. So we tried to reach out to everybody who's registered today who's in that situation over email. But if you didn't receive that or didn't get a chance to read it, I'll be available in the chat to answer any questions that you might have. And you can also email me directly. It's just ross@knowify.com. That's just ross@knowify.com. So we're really happy with how Service Pro turned out after all the work the dev team put into it. And the feedback from everybody who's used it so far has been really positive. So again, don't hesitate to reach out to me with any questions that you might have. With that, I will turn it back over to Taryn to give you the full walkthrough.
Awesome. Thanks, Ross. Yeah, maybe the easiest email to say out loud. If someone like, what's your email? I think Ross at Knowify is probably the simplest one. Because even if I say Taryn at Knowify, not everyone's going to
My
figure out how to
Midwest
spell it
accent
correctly.
messes it up sometimes, but it's all right.
Yeah.
People get it.
Well, awesome. So I'll just kind of kick us off with a pretty simple slide of what is a service job. Now, if you use Knowify Service Jobs module, the original one, you're probably somewhat familiar with this, but if not, the general concept here is that we have service jobs in Knowify and contract jobs, where service jobs are meant for the quicker appointment-based jobs as opposed to the longer form contracted projects that will last for maybe several weeks, months, etc. So when we talk about a service job, it's kind of the difference between, hey, I got hired to do all of the wiring in this new building that's going up versus, hey, I have a blown fuse. Can you come take a look at this? My lights won't turn on. If it's one of these quicker appointments, that's where the service jobs really come into play. Um, they can be billed in fixed or time material. We do find that it's more common for this work to be time material because you don't usually know the full scope until you're on site. But you will always have the option to predefine the amount that you bill before you go out and set up these uh, fixed price service jobs as well. Um, These, again, by nature of being smaller, they're simpler. They can be a little bit quicker to set up as a result of that as well. It doesn't require as much process. It doesn't require building out a contract, having things signed. It's really just job exists, job is performed, job is invoiced, and then we do our best to track all different types of statuses that fall in between those different stages I lined out. Um, these jobs won't have budgets like our contract jobs do. So obviously, job costing is a very core feature set and concept inside Knowify. But when it comes to service jobs, it's more just cost versus revenue as opposed to cost versus budget. And you will have the option in Service Pro to schedule multiple appointments for a single service job, but it's going to be more appointment-based scheduling as opposed to this job starts today and will be done at the end of the week. It's going to say, here are the different appointments associated with the completion of this job. And you'll see that we call these visits in Service Pro. Um, so I'll kind of move this into my quick little comparison sheet of what is a service job versus a contract job. Maybe less what is one versus the other, but when to use one versus the other. So with service jobs, if you know it's going to be a quick appointment, let's say one day is planned, it might take an extra day, it might take a third day, but it's not really going to be something that we plan to spend multiple weeks on. Right off the bat, that's something that you might be thinking about a service job for. Similarly, if you're not going to be sending a quote to the customer, if they just called in and said, hey, can you please do this work? And you go over and start working without any discussion of a dollar figure, service jobs come into handy for that type of appointment. Um, Service jobs are also going to be, again, quicker ways to create time and material based work. So instead of coming up with a whole contract of different billing rates and things like that, the service job allows you to just go out there, track the time materials, and create an invoice off of that. Um, the places where you're not going to use service jobs are when you need things like I mentioned earlier, cost versus budget, or a signature on a proposal. If you need progressive invoicing, when you need change order management, additional functions like RFIs, submittals, things like that are where you're really going to want to use the contract jobs function in Knowify. Um, but if you don't need to use all those additional project management and billing functions and stuff like that, service jobs is going to be a great way to just quickly create a project that you can track and invoice. Now, when we create a service job, there's going to be some mandatory fields and some that are optional based off of what you're trying to create when you're creating the job and what kind of information needs to be included. Some things just to create the job right off the bat that are mandatory are going to be the client, who are we doing this job for, the address, where is this job going to happen, and then the billing type. Is it fixed price or is it time material? Uh, the numbering scheme of the jobs can be automated. Notify will suggest the next name of the job. You don't have to actually use the next number. It's just a suggestion for the sake of if you use numbering, making sure you always have the next number up. But then you'll have a lot of optional fields like service notes, a description of what's going to happen on that job. You'll be able to create the visits when you create the job. This is a kind of a difference between Service Pro versus our old Service Jobs module, is that you don't need to schedule it when creating it to have it be this active job. You can actually have this unscheduled ticket that says, hey, here's something that requires attention and scheduling in the future. Other optional fields would be things like tags and then service assets, which we'll cover in a bit. Service assets would basically be a more detailed description of the client that you're performing the job for, where it's not just the client, do this at Terrence's house, but do this on this water heater at Terrence's house, and it has a description of different services that have been performed there in the past. And again, we'll get into service assets as part of my slide deck and demo in a bit. Um, Now, I'd mentioned that we do two different types of billing for these service jobs, fixed or T&M. Again, it's more common to do time and material, but you can set up a fixed price service ticket where basically you, as you create the job, say, here are the different things that I'm going to be billing for and performing, and here's how much I'm going to bill for them. And then when the ticket is marked as complete, you invoice what was defined when creating the actual job itself. You can always add more to the invoice when you're creating the invoicing, when you're creating the actual invoice. But the automatic stuff that's going to show up is going to be based off of what you defined when creating the job. Now, if you do it as a time and material job, we'll just automate that to the best of our ability. We will check all of the time entries and all of the materials that were added against the job, and we'll show those on the invoice and allow you to define the markup. Anytime we think we know the markup based off of the catalog item used in the default markup, or the type of person or type of resource on the job and its default billing rate, we'll fill that in, but you'll again have the option to override it as needed through the life of the, or sorry, when creating the invoice. Um, Now, aside from just creating the jobs being a little bit different, we've also added a lot of views for Service Pro, different ways to see your jobs based off of feedback and ways that people have told us that they really like to view their projects. The default one that we'll have is what we call the table view. This is really just a list of jobs in the simplest way we can provide them to you. Hey, here's the name of the job. Here's where we stand on it. Here's when it was created. Here's the client. It's just some raw information and a list of here are the different jobs that you have in the account at any point in time. This view could be filtered, which is a really important part of the whole process as well. So instead of just saying, hey, here's every job, go look for the one you want, you can actually apply filters that say, can you show me only jobs that are currently unscheduled because I'm in a state where I'm trying to be actionable scheduling jobs right now. Or I could say, can you show me only jobs that haven't been invoiced yet? So that way I can see which jobs need to be invoiced at this point in time. And you can mix and match some filters as well to make sure that you're actually getting the exact view of different jobs that you need when you're in this section. You'll also now have the ability to flag service jobs, and flags can be generic. It's just your way of saying, here's something that needs attention. So whether that flag means, hey, we started work and we need to schedule an appointment to come back, or it says, hey, we started work and it needs review before it's invoiced. However you guys need to use tags, and I'll show you a little bit more about this. This is just a way for you to filter one extra layer to see, hey, which jobs have a flag on it at this point in time. And again, the flag can really be defined internally by your team on how you want to be using it. And you'll see there's a bunch of other visual cues in here. So not just status, but I could see that when jobs are completed, there's this dollar figure icon next to it, and I'll give you a little bit more info through the demo. But this way I could see, okay, has it been scheduled? Has it been completed? Has it been invoiced? Has it been paid? So we kind of see the different statuses as the job moves through the pipeline, even though at its core, the simple statuses are unscheduled, scheduled, complete. Once we're in complete, it's complete and not invoiced, complete and invoiced, complete and paid. The next view I'll quickly cover is calendar. So the calendar view is basically a way to see this as a little bit more of a raw schedule instead of just looking at a list of jobs, where I could see, okay, on Monday, what jobs do we have and when? On Tuesday, on Wednesday, through the week. Let me see really quickly what jobs are open at any point in time. And we color the different blocks that you see here based off of the resource scheduled on them. So these blocks, although they do have job names on them and they are jobs in a sense, These blocks are also different employees' schedules. So you can look at the overall week schedule, show me everyone's schedule this week, all of the different jobs that are active in this time frame. But then you can say, show me just this resources jobs. Show me what John is working on this week and see what his capacity is. That way, if I see any of these blank spots, I know that there's availability to add more to that person's schedule. Um, the other view, when we're looking at individuals instead of just a set list of jobs, would be our team view. So this is another calendar-esque view, but instead of having dates and seeing each employee's schedule for each day inside a week, this looks at each individual day and shows you all of the employees and where their capacity is. So I can see that Brian has a job at 7:15 until 8:15, but then he's open after that. Getty has one job at 8, and I can see the number of services that they're scheduled for, and I can just see a little bit more about where they have openings, and this could be filtered as well. So again, what we really want to make sure that we're doing here is providing you with all the different possible views of what you want to see, and make sure that you can be actionable from them. So if the question is, where does our entire team have availability? The calendar view will show you blank spots there. If you want to see individual people on the team and what their availability is, then this view shows us the blank spots for individuals. Um, and these also both will give us the ability to see what is unscheduled and needs to be added to the schedule so we can fill in those gaps a little bit more easily. Then we also still have a map view. For people who are familiar with the old service jobs, you'll know that we do have a map view where we can see the different locations of jobs. This way, if we need to look at a specific day, see which jobs are in which status and where they are, maybe it help me with routing, make sure that I'm grouping my jobs to the best of my ability. This map view is going to be a little bit better for not, hey, when was the ticket created and when was it scheduled and when it was completed, but hey, can you just show me everything that's scheduled for today so I can make sure that we're routing people correctly and making sure that we can uh, keep people from having to drive to opposite sides of the town if possible, just based off of the grouping of where all these jobs are. Now, moving on from just general service jobs, just some other functionality that comes along with Service Pro is the concept of maintenance agreements. Maintenance agreements would be similar to a contract in that it is something that's signed and it's ongoing as opposed to a quick in and out job, but it's actually a collection of a lot of individual service jobs inside a single contract. So with our maintenance contracts, we can predefine, hey, we visit every X number of days, weeks, whatever it's going to be, and we bill every year, every 6 months, et cetera. And then here's how much we bill for it. So this way, if I have a situation where I install something for a client and then I follow up with a contract that says, hey, now this is installed for $1,200 a year, I'll also just make sure it's running smoothly. I'll come check it every month. If there's anything that needs to be updated, I'll make sure that that's fixed. I'll run all of my inspection. This is where you can have Knowify help you with the process of scheduling out these appointments, making sure that you're showing up when you said you would, and making sure you're billing the client for the outstanding balance. And then you can also use that to kind of see the resulting profitability of these maintenance contracts. So you could say, under this agreement, we made $1,200 this year, and we spent $500 on various service appointments that went into this. And so that's a nice benefit of using the Service Pro as well, is that you get the ability to create these maintenance agreements that'll help remind you when it's time to schedule recurring appointments with your client. The other thing that comes along with this is the service assets that I mentioned earlier. So this was always a really popular request for years while we were looking into building the Service Pro module of Knowify. But the concept of a service asset is that I want to be able to see not just some history with a customer, but I want to see history of what was done on the specific equipment that this customer owns. So that way, if I am performing multiple jobs on the same piece of equipment, I can send someone completely new out to this job and they can see a history of what was done on that equipment in the past. So if anything doesn't look quite right, they could see, oh, I see. 6 months ago, we performed this type of service, and this was the piece that was missing. So it was replaced with this different one, and that's why you see this odd case with this job. So they're not caught completely off guard. It gives them a little sense of history that led up to the current status of the equipment they're working on, so they can work on this with as much knowledge and power as possible going into the job. And that information is visible on the mobile app too. So it's not like they need to open up their computer and check notes before they go. They just need to have the Knowify app on their phone, check service history, and get additional information on this. This also helps. So if a client has multiple pieces of equipment, you can track them all individually. So if I say, hey, we're sending someone to, in this case, the client's name is General's Construction, but I could say, we're not just going to General's Construction, but we're going to this specific piece of equipment at General's Construction. So they know what they're working on by the time they get there. Um, Every service asset can also have its own set of notes that are written manually, as well as documents that could be uploaded. So pictures of things that were done, any kind of manuals that need to be associated with it, things like that can all be stored on file. And then they're all associated with their own address. So if it's one client that has multiple pieces of equipment at different addresses, you can define that at the service asset level as well. Now, when it comes to the mobile side, because when we talk service jobs, mobile is a big part of this. We still have a lot of the same basic functionality that you would get with a contract job when we work with service jobs. So you could still enter your time against it, enter other users' time. You can enter purchases, parts that were used, comments, pictures, everything like that. But then you also, since it's a service job, have the ability to mark it as complete, so the people in the office can see it's now completed but not invoiced. You have the ability to view service asset information, as I mentioned earlier, and you can create additional visits as well. So if you are working on a job in the field and you see, hey, this actually isn't going to be able to be completed today, I need to schedule an appointment to come back tomorrow. While working with the customer there, you could say, okay, when works for you, and you can assign a new visit at that point in time. That way, you don't have to do anything to communicate with people in the office. Hey, this person needs to schedule a follow up. Can you follow up with them, etc. Um, Then we also, from common request, added the ability on mobile to create a service job. So let's say I'm in the field and I need to create an entirely new job as opposed to a follow-up appointment on an existing job. From the mobile app, you can use this add service button to add a service job, where you give it the same classic title, client information, just like you're filling it out on the actual web application. And it'll generate a project where you can then work on at that time on the phone, or you can schedule it for a future appointment, anything like that. So that's kind of part of the power of the updates here that, now that you have Service Pro in your account, you could be in the field and create service jobs just from the smartphone, without needing to uh, pull out a tablet or a computer or web browser or anything like that. So I'm going to try my best to cover a little bit of all of this with my demonstration here. Again, as you have questions, feel free to throw them in the Q&A. I have Ross answering some of the questions. I have my associate Vin, who's always on the line, answering some technical questions. And then the longer form stuff will be uh, answering at the end during our Q&A session. But when we have the Service Pro enabled, I'll have service jobs as an option here. And you'll see that this is the table view that I referenced when we first started our slide deck here. Now, this is just a list of different jobs I have, and it's going to be ordered based off of the date that it was created. And I can always change how this is displayed. So if I want it in name order, I have that option. If I want to filter by status, or if I want to sort by created date, which I always like, this has an option as well. And then I could see visual cues of where we stand on different jobs. So ticket one is complete, and the filled in circle shows me that it was paid. Whereas ticket two, also complete, and it's been invoiced, but not paid yet because the circle's not filled in. Then I could see tickets that are unscheduled, tickets that have been scheduled but not completed yet. For the tickets that have someone scheduled on them, I could see who it was assigned to. So this service that's scheduled has this resource on it. Um, this service ticket number 4 has no resource scheduled on it. And I can actually click on this ticket and assign someone if I need. So I could say edit, it's scheduled for today. And I could say add resource. Here are some people who are busy, but it looks like Frank's available, so I'm going to assign him to this job. Submit. Um, so that's just a way for me to, get a little bit of quick management of these different jobs that are in my table view at any point in time. But I also want to just kind of quickly go through some filtering here. So if I wanted to say, well, I'm actually only currently interested in completed jobs that I haven't invoiced yet, then I can filter out my list to say, oh, here's something that I need to invoice because it's been completed and hasn't been invoiced. And just from here, I could say create invoice and start that process in my Knowify account. So it's just a way for us to use this filtering to see specifically the tickets that I need to be actionable on. Somewhat similar to that, I can also filter by different date ranges. So if I clear out all of my statuses here, I want to see all tickets again. I want to say I want every job that was completed this month so far. This way I could see only the ones that are completed. Okay, these are the ones that I need to make sure that I invoice and make sure that get paid this month, things like that. So we give you just different filtering options to make sure that you see the specific jobs that you're interested in at any point in time. Um, Now I'll create a new job quickly here. You'll see that when I hit that add new, it's going to first prompt for a name and it suggests the number. I can always again rename here if I need. I'll choose who the client is. And when I choose the client, you'll see that it prompts for associated addresses. This list is going to be populated with any address that I've ever used when creating a service ticket or job for this customer, as well as any addresses that are associated with service assets that I created. So this way, if I choose an address that is associated with a service asset, I can then choose the asset that's at that location as well. Uh, when we select the address, you can see that it automatically populates this for the location of the job. For then I for location notes, I can provide additional information to the person on site. Please knock at back door. Doorbell isn't working. Just to provide additional information on how to actually get to the location where we start this job. Things that wouldn't be included in the address. I can also here enter tags associated with this job. This is in Denver, it's residential work. And this is where I can define if it's a T&M build job or a fixed price job. I'm going to show T&M for this ticket, but I can do fixed price here. And I just want you to see kind of how this works. When I choose fixed price, I can choose from a list of my catalog items, or I could just generically enter something. Miscellaneous services, which we charge $1,000 for. Again, or I could say can light installation. We need to install 5 can lights at $100 each, and that'll show up on the invoice when we complete the job. But I'll show you T&M so you can see a little bit more about how we pull stuff from your cost into the invoice. And then I can define the service request. Please fix leak in water heater coming from bottom of basin, et cetera, et cetera. And this is also where I can add the relevant service asset as well. I can see that I have no asset associated with this address. So this is where I would also have the option to add a new asset, where I could say water heater 2. It's a ream. Here's the model number. Here's the specific serial number. I can put in additional information like when it was installed. This is on the older side of things. Um, in back near laundry. Uh, Initially installed 2016, fixed once for another leak in 2020. So this is just how we can include additional information about this specific piece of equipment that we're referencing. I guess I can't spell the word initially, but you guys get the idea. And then this is where I could upload images or documentation associated with that specific piece of equipment. So if we have different pictures of things that we did during our last maintenance, we can include them there for reference. And now this adds a new service asset to the account that's associated with this client and this associated address. Um, And then I can, if I want, set an appointment here. Or if I don't know when I'm going to get to it yet, I could just hit submit and it'll actually create an unscheduled ticket for me. So I could say, show me all tickets created today that are um, unscheduled, and I should be able to find that ticket really quickly. Then when it comes time to schedule this ticket, I have the option of opening this up again and saying, add a visit, choose a date, etc., etc. But I also want to just show you guys some of our other tools here, starting with our calendar. So when I open up the calendar view, I can see the different tickets that are scheduled. I'm gonna undo my filter here. I can see the different tickets that are scheduled for this week. And again, each color is a different user. So this, I think it's red. I'm colorblind, but red is Charles. I can see here's this 11:45 ticket is John Higgins, and just see the different capacity of all of my different resources based off of this. And again, if I need to change different things, like, hey, show me only things that Frank and Charles are working on, so I can see their schedule in particular. It looks like Frank doesn't have anything, but Charles is has just this one job for today. Um, Now, I also can add things to the schedule here, whether it's a new ticket. So if I want to add, someone calls in, I want to add something for Thursday, I can say, okay, from 1 to 2, we're working on 15, new ticket for Max. Here's the address. And you'll see it automatically adds it to the date and time, and I could choose a resource. We can create tickets really quickly like that. But we also have the ability to see this schedule queue of different things that are unscheduled that need to be scheduled. So I could say we need service ticket 5 to happen today at 2 p.m. Now this adds it to the schedule, and you can see that there's no one assigned to it. I could see based off of colors who's going to be scheduled on it. I could say I'm going to add a resource. Eli's working on this one, and this assigns it to Eli's schedule, and it'll add that color to the ticket. We also have the ability to add a ticket to a date without having a specific appointment or person associated with it. So I could say, okay, ticket 14 is going to be done on Friday. That takes it out of the scheduling queue, but now I can see on Friday I have one ticket that doesn't have a time and no one's scheduled on it, and one ticket that happens from 11 to 12 that I don't have a person scheduled on it. So I could see, okay, this one is at this address in Denver. I can click on this one. This one's actually not far from there. And so I can say, let's add this one here. And then I'm going to schedule the same person to work on both of these tickets. So I'm going to edit this job and add Nandor. And then I'm also going to add him to this next job. And you can see how we can kind of quickly just change who's associated with jobs based off of these different check boxes and submitting different things here. So this way I could just use this calendar view to see when we have open gaps, what things need to be scheduled and different, and add things to people's schedule that way. I can also move things through the calendar here. So if I want to take this ticket and move it to this time today, if I want to stack up more things in a single day, I have that option. Um, but now I want to go into my team view where I have the ability to see the different individuals and when they're going to be, what they're working on and when. So one thing I see is that Frank has a ticket assigned that has no specific time associated with it. So I'm going to click on this ticket and I'm going to say, it's no longer for any time today. I actually heard from the customer and I need you to work on this from 2 to 3. And that'll adjust that ticket to have a specific time. And if I want to use this as a way to make sure that everyone's working on something, I can see, it looks like Eli doesn't have anything from noon to 1. I'm going to go ahead and click on this time slot here. And we can generate tickets from this view as well, while automatically assigning to a person. So I don't have to specifically now enter the time and the person. Since I clicked on that part in their schedule, it knows who's working on it and when as well. Um, Then the other view I mentioned is our map view, where I can now see here are all the tickets that we're working on today. I can get the different locations. So I know now that there's this one rogue ticket that's happening out here. That one might not be something that I assign to the same person as this one, but I could see like, okay, here are three tickets, this one, and this one, and I can see them here. So I can make adjustments and make sure that I assign them to the same person if possible. And so that's kind of the benefit of the map view. And if I wanted to look ahead, I could say, all right, show me tomorrow's schedule, which I removed everything from tomorrow's schedule. But now, all right, let's look at this, on, I guess, Thursday's schedule, what's available. And so this is where we have the ability to just kind of see this based off of location instead of just as a list of jobs that were created at any point in time. Now I'm going to quickly go back to the table view here, because I did mention the concept of these different statuses moving through this so I can see what the different updates are and where we stand on jobs. So service job 14 is the one we created at the beginning here. Uh, I can see this was scheduled. I want to mark this as complete now. Um, when this is marked as complete, it changes the status. So now I can see completed. Now I could say create an invoice. Yeah, I ended up making this fixed price after all. But I can now create the invoice and finalize that. And I could see the status updated from just completed to completed and now invoiced. And now I can actually record the payment on that invoice as well. So if I go to my revenue and cost for the job, and I open that invoice, I record payment. Now this is going to update this circle from open to closed since it's now been fully paid. And so that's how you can kind of see how the different things can move through their different statuses. The different tickets can move through statuses so I can see where I stand based off of all the different visual cues that we have here. Um, Now, we created a service asset when creating that job, but essentially, if we need to manage these not while creating the job, but just want to see all of our different service assets, we have this section here where I can see here are the different clients, the different assets, et cetera, et cetera. And I can click on these to see things like service history. This was a ticket that was associated with this asset. Here are the notes. Here's the documents. I could see water heater number one. There haven't been any jobs on service tickets associated with this yet, things like that. Um, and this could be referenced at any point in time, and we'll always keep a history. So as you're performing different service appointments and scheduling them to the specific asset, we'll let you know where you stand on this asset based off of this. And then if I have a future appointment with that asset, the people who are scheduled on it can review what's been done in the past, show me the previous service tickets and the notes associated with it, so I can know what to expect when we show up at this job. Um, Aside from service assets, I also mentioned maintenance agreements, which is where I can now go maintenance agreements and see the different open. It looks like I only have them as leads right now, so I'll just go ahead and create a new one here, where I could say I need to create a new agreement with General's Construction for this address. And then it's going to prompt me for all the information about the billing and the frequency of the visit, where I could say, I need you to automatically schedule these appointments for me. This is going to be inspection and maintenance. Um, you know, inspect equipment to confirm it's working well and fix if needed. We do this monthly and we bill twice a year for $500. And it's specifically for water heater number two. Now that I created this and I set it to automatically schedule, when this is active, the clients move forward. It's going to create all the different appointments associated with this on the scheduled for the dates that we had determined. So if it's monthly, I'll be able to see my service history. And I can see that each of these tickets is scheduled for a different date, essentially as a reminder. So I know now that I need to assign someone to this job on this date. And just so you can see what that looks like a little bit more in practice. So let's just say I'm looking at my calendar view. I can see that this job is scheduled for today's date, but obviously no one's on it and we don't have time yet because we don't know who's going to be available. So this is where I would actually want to be able to say, okay, I'm going to actually not do this today, but tomorrow at 5 a.m. And we can move things through the calendar. It looks like I did something a little funny here. But we can move things through the calendar and just assign dates to them as we go. But then the next appointment is going to be scheduled for uh, March 11th, so I can see which appointments need to be scheduled at any point in time based off of when the pending appointments are through the life of this maintenance contract. And if I go back to that maintenance contract, which is active, I can see that there's an unbilled $500 on this, and I can actually start tracking all of that revenue against the different costs associated with these jobs. So if I say invoice now, this is going to be the $500 for the next 6 months. And then Knowify will actually remind me in 6 months that there's $500 more that are unbilled that need to be billed on this specific maintenance agreement. Um, then if I'm in a situation where there needs to be additional appointments associated with this ticket, I can always create, or sorry, associated with this maintenance agreement, I can always dispatch additional services. So we don't have to be limited to the exact service appointments that we set up in the predetermined billing. So it doesn't have to be these monthly appointments. It can actually have anything else that falls underneath the same umbrella of this $500 twice a year inspection and maintenance contract. Um, Before I get to Q&A, just one last thing I wanted to show is just our mobile view of our service jobs in Service Pro. So I'm going to pull up this fake version of Knowify, this phone.knowify.com. And I actually need to choose a different user. So bear with me really quickly because this is logged into a different account. I just want to make sure we're using this same account for the sake of example. Thank you for bearing with me. Okay. So I guess this is the first time I'm logging in as this user on mobile. Cool, cool, cool. And this should be the user, John Higgins in my account. So I had created a couple of tickets for John Higgins when we were going through this, what I was going through setting up for this webinar. So I could see from 11:45 to 12:45 I'm on ticket 11, from 3 to 4, I'm on ticket 8. And I can open these up to see service notes assigned when creating the ticket. I can see visits. I can also add new assets here, service assets here. So if I'm in the field and it's the first time I'm working on this client's equipment, I can actually generate it at this point in time and just include all of the notes. So the next person who comes to this client address can actually see the asset details. Um, Obviously, can check in, check out. I can mark this as complete. So if I were to mark this as complete, it's also going to show me a summary of what was done. And I can give this to the client to sign. And so now that I marked ticket 11 as complete, I can actually look back in the office at my table view for ticket 11. And I can see that that is going to be marked as complete in my account now. So we can get a little bit of communication from the field into the office using the mobile app, using just some traditional functionality that you'll see throughout Knowify. Um, and let's see, what was the job I created where I assigned an asset? I think that was job 14. I'm going to assign John to this one just so you can see what the view of the service assets looks like from mobile. So I could say I need to add a resource. I need John on this one. Beautiful. We'll go ahead and just refresh to get more information here. Let's see, did I schedule for today? I'm moving too fast, I think. Oh, it's because I already marked it as complete. I'll just go ahead and create another one really quickly. So general's construction, 424. I'll add my service asset. Beautiful. And that's going to happen today. We'll just say, what is it, 1:45 from now for the next hour, and it's going to be John Higgins. So if I wanted to look at this from the John Higgins view here, just a quick refresh. I can now pull that up and I can see allocated asset. I could see this here, and I could see asset details, service notes, service history, and I could see information associated with that specific service ticket and what was done in the past. So this just gives us the ability to learn a little bit more about different services that were performed on the job at any point in time without having to leave the app or communicate outside of the application. Um, then I also mentioned that you can now create jobs from the mobile app. So you'll have this in the add button, have add service, where I could say, I need now to do uh, new water heater install. I could choose my client from my list. This is for Calvin at this address. I can include contact information as needed. I could say it's a fixed price service. Um, just really quickly generate the whole job. I could say I'm coming back to do this tomorrow at 5 a.m. And for resources, I'm going to assign myself. This mobile version is John Higgins. Um, and just like that, it creates a new service. So if I'm looking at my schedule in advance, this is jobs for today. But if I want to look at jobs for tomorrow, I can see that that job has been assigned here. So it just gives us the ability to generate the jobs from in the field using the mobile app, so I don't have to jump around or have people do this in the office or pull up the web browser on my phone or anything along those lines. We are getting closer towards the end of time, and I do want to try my best to get some of the Q&A in. I hope that this was informative through the demonstration, but let me pull up the Q&A. I know a lot of things came in, so I'll go ahead and just start from the top. Um, there's a question about invoicing without approving employees' hours. So I did mention that I was going to go through a time materials ticket that I didn't do. So I could pull that up in a second if I need. Um, uh, the answer is no, you can't invoice without approving employee hours. And the biggest reason to that is if someone creates an issue when entering time in the field, if someone fat fingers a 24-hour entry when they were only there for 4 hours, we don't want to automatically put that on an invoice because the client's going to see this and say, obviously, he wasn't here for 24 hours in a day. Um, and then the follow-up was what happens when you approve hours. In Knowify, when you approve hours, the biggest thing is if you're connected to QuickBooks, that's when we push those hours to your QuickBooks account. But this also is when we show them on different types of reports. So some reports only show approved hours, like your payroll report in Knowify only shows approved hours. So you approve the time to say, okay, now it's good to show up on the report. I just want to see the approved stuff on this timesheet. So essentially, when employees track time to a service job, that just assigns it for cost. And when it's approved, it's now invoiceable because it's been somewhat finalized in Knowify. Um, There's a question about triggering the next service call based off of when the previous one was created. We don't have anything like this yet. We used to back in the day for maintenance contracts and might have to revisit it. But as of right now, we just show those reminders, those automated reminders based off of when you created the job and say, oh, we do this once a month. So it creates a reminder ticket or an unscheduled ticket once a month that you can then assign a person and time to. But I highly recommend that you throw stuff like that in feedback too, because we do have a feedback section inside service jobs where we're looking to take more. Service Pro is relatively new still, so we're always looking for any feedback you have on where we can improve it. Um, Then someone was asking about using the app to invoice in the field. That's not available yet, but it is something that we are actively working on. So we do hope to be able to have invoicing be part of the mobile app, in the not too distant future. We'll be following up with everyone who has Service Pro and everyone else really to let you know when that's possible. Just so from the app you can create an invoice and have the customer pay right in the field. Um, How and when do customers get notified of service calls? That's a good question. So that one, I'm going to pull up my account and just show you guys a little bit more about how that works. So when I create a service ticket, and I'll quickly create a T&M one, maybe we'll get a chance to show how that works. I'll assign it for today and 2 p.m. I could do this remind client. You see that we can actually say 5 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, and I can let them know when. And then we also have the ability for scheduled appointments. In fact, I'm going to just go ahead and create this one. Um, we also have the ability for scheduled and created tickets to send reminders to the client. Notify client where we can send an email to say, hey, here's some information about this ticket in case you're interested in learning more. Um, Someone's asked about reports for before and after pictures. We don't have anything for that yet, but that is a good bit of feedback I would have recommend entering. And when I say entering feedback, you see next to service jobs, there's feedback. If you have been using Service Pro, I highly recommend putting that in. So I could say show before and after pictures of service work in a report. And then we collect all of this, and it's all considered as we continue to improve all of Knowify and in this specific case, service jobs. So never be shy about entering stuff there. It's the best way to get stuff uh, updated and, on our end, and just make sure that we're implementing the stuff that's going to be the most useful for you. Um, And then where to view our schedule reminders for maintenance jobs. So if I go to my maintenance agreements and I go to service history, this shows me all of the jobs. So if I want to see, okay, I need a note for the April one, I can click here and this pulls up the April one that again, it's been scheduled for a day, but not a time and not with a person yet. It's just this specific date or the early April appointment, so I can make adjustments to this and leave comments as needed. Um, there's a question about how often these group trainings happen. We do these twice a month. We do every other Tuesday with the first and second. This month we had a funny schedule, so we're doing, or sorry, first and third. This month we're doing second and fourth, and we might end up doing second and fourth moving forward. Um, but if you ever have feedback on these webinars, if there's ways that we can make them better for you, or if you have specific topics that we haven't done in the past that you'd like to learn more about, don't be shy about reaching out. Again, like we do these for you guys. We just want to make sure that you're happy with the product, that you're learning from what we do, and that you're getting the most out of it. So if there's things that we could do differently to help you out, don't be shy about reaching out about it. We're happy to adjust it any way we can to make sure that things are useful for you. And I see some raised hands. Raising hands is doesn't work for this session because we can't unmute you guys. If you have questions, just throw them in the Q&A, please. And I saw that some people were asking about the old service jobs function being phased out. Ross is going to be reaching out to anyone who has questions about that individually. But for what it's worth, anyone who has the existing service jobs functionality, if they opt into using Service Pro, all of the jobs will move over from the old service platform to the new one. So you don't have to worry about like, oh, if I start using Service Pro now instead of the original service jobs module, will I lose everything done to date? That's not a thing. We're always happy to carry that information over for you, and you'll learn more about that when you opt into the addition of Service Pro. It looks like that's the last of our questions. Again, I really appreciate everyone joining in, and I really appreciate all the great questions there. It is a lot of content that it was hard to fit into this small time frame. Um, uh, so if there's more questions that I didn't get around to, or if my demonstration made things a little bit unclear, don't be shy about reaching out. Always reach out to support@knowify.com. Our team is incredible. They're always really quick to respond and they're extremely knowledgeable about Knowify. So definitely reach out to them. You can reach out to your account manager or directly to Ross@knowify.com, and they're happy to answer. I saw there was a question about how to upgrade. Emailing Ross or your account manager is going to be a great way to do that. And then someone's asking about, will this be recording? Absolutely. We record all of these sessions. We email them to all registrants and we post them online. There's a link where you can see all previous webinars as well. So if you're ever interested, just reach out to our team. We're happy to provide you with that link. Cool. Thanks everyone again, and I hope you all have a great rest of your week. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.